Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked at your bank account and thought, there's got to be more than this? Have you ever laid your head on the pillow at night and thought, man, I wish I could have more clarity about my purpose, more peace in my relationships, more power in my decisions? Then this video right here is for you. This might be the most powerful video you've watched all year, because today we're going to dive into the blueprint, wealthiest and wisest man ever to live. That's King Solomon. A man so rich that he makes Jeff Bezos look like he's only got pocket change. So wise that all the world leaders travelled far and wide and paid money to listen to his wisdom and his advice. But here's the twist. He didn't start with riches. He didn't start with fame. He didn't start with power. He didn't start with any of those things. He started by asking for wisdom. And God said, because you asked for that one thing, I'll give you everything else. So here's my question for you. What are you asking for? What's your desire in your heart? Maybe you have a lack of money, but it isn't a money problem. Maybe you lack in relationships. It's not a relationship problem. What you really need is wisdom. And here's the kicker. The same wisdom that built Solomon's empire is still available for you and me today. So in this video, I'm going to have a look at 3 powerful principles that we can learn from Solomon. We're going to look at the moment Solomon got a blank check from God, how he went from purpose driven to purpose lost and back again, and why most people confuse their identity with their task, their job, and how that's costing them. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with a framework for building a life that actually works, spiritually, relationship, and financially. So don't scroll, don't click away, keep watching. Okay, all right, let's rewind the clock back to the moment Solomon became king. He was young, he was inexperienced, he got massive shoes to fill. His father was King David. He was a warrior, the slayer of the Goliath. He wrote psalms and songs, beautiful songs that calm the spirit of Saul. How do you follow that act? How do you follow that up and fulfill those massive shoes of his father? God did something marvelous, something mind-blowing. He put Solomon to sleep and then he asked him, what shall I give thee? Hold on a sec. God, the creator of the universe, asked Solomon this question. What would you ask for? What do you want? To be honest, most of us would want fame and riches, a dream home, perfect marriage, money that just keeps on flowing. That's what most people would ask for. But Solomon, he didn't. Listen to what he says. I'm going to read here. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. He didn't ask for riches. He didn't ask for fame. He didn't even ask for a long life. He said, give me wisdom. Now that's the secret. Wisdom attracts those other things. Let me say that again. When you pursue wisdom, you don't have to chase wealth. Wealth will chase you. You want a long life? That goes hand in hand with wisdom. You want wealth and respect? They go hand in hand as well. Wisdom holds both. So what did God do? It says in 1 Kings 3:12, it says, I have given thee a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise unto thee. Wow. Solomon became the wisest, wealthiest man to ever live. And guess what? God also gave him everything else. He said, I'll give you riches and a long life and your enemies not to fight you on the other side. Not because he asked for them, but because his heart was after wisdom and after God's. So principle number one is wisdom is the gateway. Wisdom is the gateway. You don't need another side hustle. You don't need more credit cards. You need more wisdom. Ask yourself, what area do I feel stuck in? Where am I lacking? What decisions have I been putting off because I don't know what's right? Instead of chasing the outcome, seek to become more wise and become the person that will achieve the outcome. This talks to our being. We need to become the person. Solomon's story didn't end with one high point. He didn't stay at the top forever. In fact, the same man who asked for wisdom lost his way. At the beginning of his life, he was wise. In the middle of his life, he lost his way. So stick with me and let's have a look at the next section about how not to drift away and how to stay focused. Alright, so Solomon starts with purpose. He starts with purity, with a heart that's fully yielded to God. He asks for wisdom and God gives him everything. Wisdom like no one has had before or after. Riches beyond his wildest dreams. In today's money, trillions of dollars would have been incredible. Influence across the world. Kings and monarchs would come across to listen to his wisdom and to gain wisdom and understanding from him. But you see, he drifted. He got caught up in his own fame. It says in 1 Kings 11, his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect towards the Lord God. What happened? He started believing his own press. He started reading his own news and thought he was great. Let me tell you something about success. Success without surrender leads to self-destruction. You see, Solomon's issue wasn't money, it was misplaced loyalty. He began to love the gifts, the talents, more than the one who gave them to him. Instead of using his wisdom to serve the people, he started being indulgent. He married 700 wives and 300 concubines. That's not wisdom, that's stress. He built temples to other gods. He got compromised on the truth about who God is. When your wisdom stops being submitted to God, it becomes manipulative. You can be smart, you can be strategic, you can be successful, but if your heart drifts from the source, everything you built will just fall away and crumble. The second principle, let's have a look at the second principle. Number 2, wisdom without surrender becomes sabotage. Wisdom without surrender becomes self sabotage. Running out of room. You don't need understanding, you need alignment. You don't just need to be clever, you need to stay connected. Where have you started drifting? What compromises are you having from your calling? Who have you listened to that pulls you away from your principles? Because Solomon didn't crash all at once. He drifted, one compromise at a time. Slowly, he drifted away. And if we drift too far and we don't realign, we can lose ourselves. When he wrote Ecclesiastes, he repented. He remembered what matters, and he focused back on God. So here's the big question. How do you stay grounded? How do you build a life, a business, a family that actually lasts? In the next part, we're going to break down the identity. Let's have a look. Now, if we want to really understand how Solomon thought, how he viewed life, wisdom, leadership, we've got to look at the way he opens the book of Proverbs. And it wasn't just a collection of quotes, this was Solomon's wisdom, his legacy. And let's have a look at the very first verse. It says this, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, the king of Israel. Now, often when we read the Bible, we just skip over them and we don't actually think about the words. We don't actually stop and think, what do these words mean? We've read them maybe before. We don't think there's any significance, but they're super rich. And if we stop and take time to devour them and understand them and apply them to our lives, we can see that there's richness throughout them. So let's have a look. It starts off, these are the Proverbs of Solomon. What's a proverb? A proverb is not just a clever saying, it means comparison, a parable, a governing truth. The root word, mashel, means to rule by wisdom. That means Solomon didn't just write truth, he ruled by truth. Wisdom wasn't just something he had, it was the operating system of his life. It was what was functioning of his life. And next, he says, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David. This is his identity. Before he tells us his job description, that he's king, he tells us who he's the son of. David was beloved. Solomon is saying, I'm not wise because I'm king, I'm wise because I know who I am. He was rooted in covenant. He was anchored in legacy. He knows he was a child of promise because he became from David. Let me pause right there and speak to someone. You are not a job. You're not a title. You're not a salary. You are not the things that you do. Those are just an assignment. They're just your task that you are here to do on earth. That isn't what your identity comes from. Your identity comes from God, and it needs to be rooted in God. Then, next he tells us the King of Israel. That's his assignment. That's the task, the job, the space that God had him rule, the task that he had been assigned to. See, most people flip the order. They say, I'm the CEO, I'm the pastor, I'm the chippy, I'm the entrepreneur, I'm the tradie. But Solomon understood that his identity comes first and his job description comes later. Often you meet people and you say, what do you do for a living? Instead, but it's a really bad question. The question should be, what do you do while you're living? Better questions to ask are, what is something that you're working on right now that's really exciting? That gets people excited to tell you about their life. If your job ended tomorrow, would you still have value? Would you still have purpose? Do you know who you are without your job title? Is your identity built on the Creator or just your current circumstances? So here's the third point. Number 3, your assignment must follow after your identity. Number 3, your assignment must follow after your identity, not the other way around. You're not a mistake, you're not random, you were born with a purpose. But if you choose that purpose before your identity, you've got it wrong way around. You've got it flipped upside down. You need to make your identity first. This helps you bring clarity to your decisions, gives you healthier relationships, and your money starts working with more purpose. So now we know that Solomon didn't just receive wisdom, he documented it, he shared it. He didn't say, man, that was a great revelation, now I'm just going to watch camel races. No, he recorded it, he wrote it down. It says he spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs were 1,005. That was his social media. That was his Instagram posts. I don't know about you, but I don't have 3,000 social media posts that are important. Not just breakfast, or what I had for breakfast, or a cool photo of a sunset. No, these were purpose. These had meaning. This was his legacy. He was writing it down. And we have the highlight reel in Proverbs. This was his newsfeed. He was putting his content out there. He was creating content for the world. Here's my question for you. What are you doing with the wisdom you've learned, you've lived through? I'm not talking about your degree. I'm not talking about your the academic stuff you've learned. I'm talking about life. I'm talking about things that you've overcome, the things you've been healed from, the lessons you've learned, the heartache you've overcome. That's your content. That's your story. How are you going to use that to help others? You might say, I'm not a teacher, I'm not a preacher, I don't have a big platform. You don't need one. You just need a phone. You just need a mouth. You can just put some text on a screen and you can start sharing and impacting others. Your story isn't just for you, it's for someone in need. So, I hope this video helps you and blesses you, and I can't wait to see you on the next video. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me if you like this and it's helpful. Cheers guys, I'll see you on the next one.